Welcome back to Mac's Garage. Today I'm going to show you how to remove rusted brake fittings that you may need to reuse. The reason that I need to reuse the ones on this car is they're kind of an odd metric size. There's not anything locally available, so I'm going to reuse the fittings, and I'm also going to show you how to get them out without destroying things like brake hoses or wheel cylinders when you don't need to replace those parts. So I'm going to bring the camera in under the car and we'll get started. Alright, so I'm going to do the best I can with the lighting I've got. From the little preview thing I've got on this camera, it looks like you should be able to see. But what I'm going to start out with is I've got a nice long set of diagonal cutting pliers. And I'm going to come right up close to the fitting and just snip that off of there. So I cut that one off there, and then I'm actually going to replace this line is why I'm cutting it, so I will take it off the other end as well. It kind of crusted when I cut it, but this end was really rusty and nasty just in one spot, so that's why this line's getting replaced. So notice that I didn't even try to remove that before. It may have come out, but chances are not good. So then what I'll do is I'll move on to my 3/8 electric impact. You can do this with a pneumatic impact as well, but the impact is kind of the key here. The way that this shocks the bolt makes it come loose. So there's that one. So that came out. I think you should be able to more or less see this one as well. So we'll do the same thing here. This one's on a bracket that'll kind of move, and this one should be a little bit more challenging to get out of here. Okay, so I got my socket on there with an extension. You can see the rust kind of explode out. I'm not sure if that camera's fast enough to catch it or not, but... And there we go. And now that fitting's removed as well. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do is bring this over to a vise. Put the fitting in the vise. Doesn't need to be real tight. You can still move that a little bit. Then I'm going to take my appropriately sized drill bit. So this will be either 3/16 or 1/4 inch, depending on what size brake line you've got. 3/16 would be the best bit to use, but since my 3/16 is ultra dull, I'm using one size down, which is 11/64. Will still work. It's just going to be a little bit more annoying to use. Okay. Alright, so now I have that broken off of there. Never grab that by hand. Use a pair of pliers. You'll tear your hands all up if you do it the other way. Drill that out. Continue going through here. Most of the time those are rusted all the way through, like this one was. So once we get through to the other end, again, use pliers, not by hand. Take our nut back off of here. And I'm going to do that for the rest of these nuts as well. The next step is I'll take it over to the wire wheel and I'll wire wheel these threads up. But I don't have a good way to set the camera up on that, so you're just going to have to take my word. I'm taking it over to the wire wheel and I'm going to very carefully wire wheel this off. Now, because I use the smaller drill bit, I'm going to go up to my dull 3/16. Just kind of run that through there a little bit. Honestly, this 3/16 is a little loose in this one. But if we step up the next size, we'll start to tear the walls of this up. Now, the reason you're able to do this is typically the end that actually controls the flare is very rarely damaged. That's tightly compressed. It's holding everything together. Typically, you can reuse these because that side is not damaged. Okay, so then we grab our brake line, which this one is 3/16. The nut slides right over top of that. Take our flaring instrument, which this one is going to be, I'm going to use the hydraulic one. This has still got a bunch of brake fluid on it. Okay, after you've got your fitting on the new line or the old line, however you're doing it, you're going to go ahead and flare this. So I've got videos out there of flaring lines already, actually using this tool. Okay, so I've got videos out there on this channel about using flaring tools, and this one happened to have a double flare in it, so I'm going to go ahead, double flare this line. Oops. All right, and there's that one, all ready to be reused. So normally when you're doing this, like I have 3 of these fittings to clean up, you would drill out and get all of them kind of prepped out at the same time. But because I was making this video, I did not. So that's that. If you don't need to reuse the lines, like you've got a standard fitting, you can just use that rather than cleaning your old ones up. I didn't have that option in this particular case, and sometimes you won't either. So that's how you reuse a fitting on a rusty brake line. Alright, so this one, I'll show you this too. This one, it actually broke loose and is spinning inside of here when I tried to drill it. So that means that I'm going to have to try something a little bit different. I can possibly take a pair of pliers, nope, that's probably not going to work. So I will take this to a grinder, and I'm going to want to grind the back side where the nut is, not the end where the flare is. Because again, the flare part is pretty important. The nut side, not so much, as long as you can get it tight. So I'm going to take this over to the grinder, grind it off, and I'll show you that. Okay, so once I grind that flat, this does get kind of warm, so be aware of that. I'll take this, I'm going to put it in the vise down kind of low so I don't catch the threads. That'll work. I'm going to take a small punch and a small hammer. And then I can just drive the remaining piece of line out of that one. Alright, so this one should, I'll also have to wire wheel it up, but this one's pretty much ready to go as well. Thanks for watching, hit the subscribe button, and I'll see you later.